after the event. Actually, it starts transcribing as well. That's always exciting to see. Okay, welcome everyone. We have a virtual lunch meeting the last first day of May, which actually is June 1st. But it counts as a May week, I think. So today we will talk about our experiences from Global Azure, which we had in the beginning of May. Before we do that, let's take a quick recap over our year activity, årsjul in Norwegian. It's no real good direct translation of årsjul to English, but a year wheel sounds pretty strange. I think the closest is year activity. So we are now in the end of May, beginning of June. We have in about 2 weeks' time, 12 days actually, June 13th, a physical spring meetup at Microsoft offices. We have our schedule now out on the Meetup event. So among others, David here will talk about Azure Virtual Desktop and some more. And we will also have a session on Azure cost management. So that will be exciting. For those that are able to join, myself and probably a few more will try to set up some few hours after the event to be a little bit social. Hopefully we'll have good weather in Oslo. So you can leave time for that as well if you are joining. I think we will do another virtual lunch. Yeah, we have planned another virtual lunch for the end of June, which we also have a session planned for. So that's also out there on the Meetup page. And then we will have a summer vacation and kick off again in August. We have currently planned 2 physical meetups more in the autumn, a fall meetup in September. We are discussing with a sponsor there, so it might be another location than Microsoft. So they will host that event. So we will stay tuned for that. And since Nordic, the infrastructure, the NIC event moved from the end of May now to November, we will try to do another NIC pre-meetup the day before and try to attract some exciting speakers. That will be on November 7th in that case.
If Jan Vidar, if you didn't notice, and for everyone else in this call, NIC just reopened their call for papers today.
Yeah, I saw that email. So that's yeah. Did they wipe all the previously submitted sessions? Do you have to start over, or can we just change?
No. Can you just change or keep the one you have?
But that opens possibilities for everyone else who didn't.
Or we can add more stuff.
Add more stuff, yeah. Perfect. Well, it makes sense because a lot of things can happen in a half year in the IT community. So yeah, so stay tuned for updates on that. We will still do virtual lunches over the autumn, and there might also be regional meetups around Norway. So follow our Meetup page for that. Perfect. And speaking of our Meetup page, you can scan that QR code there, and we also have a running sessionized call for papers. So we want your content to be presented either on a virtual lunch or on our physical meetups. I think the sessionized event will expire now in June, but we could probably extend that, Martin, to the rest of the year. Yeah, we will do that. So that's the link if you want to present, and that's most welcome. So today's topic is Global Azure 2023, which we were a part of here in Norway. But as the name says, it's a global event. And for this virtual lunch today, we also have invited Magnus Mårtensen, and I'm not sure if he's joined yet. Are you here, Magnus?
I am indeed. I am indeed.
Perfect. Welcome to you. So I didn't prepare you any questions before, but let's just bring it out there. What can you tell us about Global Azure past, present, and future, for example?
Oh my God, that could be a long story. So let's try to make it short. This event has gone on for a lot of years. It originated with myself and the other Azure MVP in Sweden, who said that, hey, we live in different cities. Wouldn't it be cool if we did an event on the same day? Oh, that'd be cool. We could even share a session or something with I'm going to stop my bicycle. I'm actually moving right now. So I'm stopping my bicycle so I won't like have a traffic accident or something. I'm walking. All right, so I can share video actually. Here I am.
Oh, perfect.
Hello. Hello, thank you.
Hello,
Magnus. All right, so yeah, I'm going to make it, I'm going to make the past story short, but effectively we just thought that, you know, we have some friends over in, those people over in Belgium and that guy over in London, and you know, sort of let's see if how many else wants to be in on this. And it completely exploded. We had no idea what we were doing. The first year, there were 93 locations in 36 countries. It was insane. We had absolutely no idea what we were doing. And it turned out that this power, this global Azure power, was there to be sort of discovered. Kind of just unearthed it. And now, you know, plus 10 years, 12 years later, we're still running. It was huge just before the pandemic. It was over 300, almost 340 locations before the pandemic. Of course, same as with every other community activity, the pandemic hit it hard. Now we're just over 100 locations, but, you know, gaining momentum back and growing back. One of the largest places where there's very little community activity at present is actually in the Americas in general, but in the US in particular, almost none. And I understand that this is because they have real difficulties still to procure venues for meetups, because still liabilities and things in the US, nobody wants to have that responsibility in terms of Corona stuff. But probably, hopefully this will change for next year, so we will see regrowth in the US. And the future, just very, very briefly as well. Of course, we have lots of ideas now. I want, you know, we had basically just the one sponsor, right? I want to have 20 sponsors for next year. I want to enable the site to let you organizers hand out gifts from sponsors digitally. I want to enable more interaction on the site and more stuff like your story that you wrote, which is now published on the Global Azure site. Is really cool. There's lots of more stuff that we can do, but I'd love also for you guys to collect and give your feedback on Global Azure and what it could be to be even cooler than it already is. Is that enough?
That's perfect.
This is a nice park in Malmo. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, we also have some numbers on the shared screen here from the statistics. So the latest update, I think, was globally was 483 speakers, 445 sessions in 6 continents, and we had 3 events in Norway with 9 speakers and 9 sessions. So it was truly a global reach, and it was interesting to hear about the stories and your thoughts for the future. So the summary you spoke about, I've just put that in the chat here. It's published on the Global Azure website. So we published a summary, but we will quickly go through that now as well. For Norway, we joined forces with our normal organizer team of Azure User Group Norway, with David and Julian from Devo team and Point Taken. And So together we organized 3 events in Norway, which, as Magnus said, it's part of a big global initiative, and it was really big before Corona, and then now it's gaining traction again. And I think this is quite impressive anyway. 105 communities over 110 locations wide world. So it's a big event, and all happens on the days of 11th, 12th, and 13th of May this year. And I think I guess that time period each year is quite fixed, right, Magnus? In the beginning of May.
It's usually in the beginning of May. We have a heck of a time trying to figure out each year which dates would work. It used to be only the one day, a Saturday. For many years, it was only one day, always a Saturday. And people were, the feedback we ever got was that it doesn't have to be that day, it doesn't have to be a Saturday. Some people could only have a venue on a Friday or a Thursday or whatever. So now we extended it to Thursday, Friday, Saturday to sort of be more inclusive to every location possible. Some do their events on a weekend, others prefer at the end of the week, and even a weekday is also possible with the Thursday. So really that gives a better ability for communities to join. Each year we sit down with all calendars of all countries and all holidays and all everything, Easter there and King's Day in the Netherlands there. It's crazy. We're trying to find like the best possible place for the dates. And additionally, we have to avoid major Microsoft events like Build. One year we actually had to move the dates for Global Azure because we announced and then later Build announced in the same week. So that was kind of bad because mostly a lot of the community leaders would be traveling to Build and we would not be hosting community events. So those kinds of things. So usually in the beginning of May, like you said.
Well, perfect. We had 3 events in, as said earlier, in Norway. We had one meetup in Oslo, sponsored by Devo Team, and we had a meetup in Kristiansand, which is quite long south in Norway, sponsored by Point Taken and Noroff. And we had one in Sarpsborg, which is quite close to Sweden. It was sponsored by VD. So, but all of these were in the southeast parts of Norway. So we would love to expand that for next year in other parts of Norway as well. So if you are joining this meeting or listening to the recording later and want to be part of this next year, please reach out to us. So, yeah. Let's see some statistics for Norway. We had from our registered attendees 120 that registered for events, and actually around 90 turned up. And I think that's a great number because for free events there probably often are a lot of no-shows. So 90 actual attendees, it's a great number. We had 9 speakers. 4 of those were Microsoft MVPs, either in Azure or security or cloud and data center management. Others were either experienced speakers or brand new community speakers. I think at least 2 of the speakers had never presented a session before, and I think that's great as well to give a stage for the community. So yeah.
That's what we're looking for, right, Jan-Vidar? Having new people contribute. Yeah,
we just want to arrange and organize this stuff and bring the stage to others most of the time. So that's really great. So in the end, we ended up on Thursday evening on all 3 events. So we had similar time. We kicked off at the same time and had 3 different events at the same time. We did discuss Friday or Saturday or something, but for us it suited best on the Thursday evening. So and we had 3 breakout sessions per location, and we covered up to 8 to 9 hours of knowledge sharing in Azure on that. And we had a lot of different technologies covered as well. So that's more details in the write-up I linked to in the chat. what technologies we covered, but will we do a quick overview over the events and the sessions and how it went now? So let's talk about Global Azure in Oslo. How did it go, David and Martin?
I personally, I think it went really well. There was a great turnout. I suspect that most of the 90 that showed up was potentially in Devo Team's office. It was actually almost full, I would say, David. And there was the food was great. Someone at Devo Team decided they don't want to sponsor pizza, and that's always welcoming when we can serve other types of food than the regular half cold or half warm, half frozen pizza that you get delivered on the door. So I think everyone enjoyed that.
Yeah. And I would like to use this opportunity to shout out to my partner in crime, Bjørn Riber, who was actually the man behind making sure that he secured the budget for this awesome food and also a lot of beer. So we managed to socialize quite a lot after the event. And I know that few groups went out for drinks, some cocktails afterwards. So I'm not sure what was their attendance on Friday in the office, but yeah, at least they seem to have a lot of fun.
Great. And you had 3 sessions there, and can you quickly just recap what kind of content was covered?
The agenda kind of speaks for itself, but there was the first session out was actually what was I think the slide is a little bit different than it actually turned out to be. So the first session was the Synapse thing, and that was our. I think it was his first time speaking in public, and he was well prepared and delivered a great session. And to me personally, Synapse is a kind of a black box thing, and he managed to actually explain quite well what he was working with and showing pretty good examples. So
to say it otherwise, if you're traditionally an infra guy, you learned a lot about the data side in that session in a nice and very structured way. So he was not rushing it. He was trying to explain some of those scenarios and patterns. So I really enjoyed that session. So well, let's hope that he will get encouraged to speak or appear more in public events because he's definitely has a lot of knowledge that he can share.
Sounds interesting. Great.
So the second one was Manish, and that was really like a very practical scenarios and patterns on how you can take some services that are not natively integrated to Sentinel and how you can inject logs from those different systems through Logic Apps, which is a no-code, low-code integration platform. So he was showing some patterns and some demos. So it was also really inspiring on what you can do if you can stitch a few things together and have a good tooling around that. So that was cool. And the last one was Karim. He actually, was it so that he managed to just get off the plane and travel to this event? He was in another conference, was it Sweden? And he still managed to come and give a talk about cloud security landscape. So like a really very determined to actually share and like do a lot of traveling just to show up and present. So very appreciated.
Well, sounds like interesting content and sessions. We had the event in Kristiansand. So Julian and Anders, if you are on the call, you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Julian is here.
Yeah.
And I think Anders also is listening in.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, hi. So the event went great. There were about 20 people that were signed up, and we didn't have that many no-shows either. But I think there were like 16 and 17 people that were in the room. We started off with a half-cold pizza though. No, it wasn't half-cold. It was actually a good pizza. So we had lots of pizza and food. So we managed to get everyone to eat in all the breaks as well. So everyone was stuffed when they were left from getting information overload and food. So it was great. It was good turnout and good conversations between the sessions and everything. We didn't manage to get the social part afterwards this time, but maybe next time, I hope. So yeah, and we also the sessions were quite widespread. Actually, we started with Azure Arc and went through the whole process of onboarding into Azure Arc and managing servers on-prem using the Azure management pane and so on. And also went through licensing and add-ons and plugins that you have to install on Windows and Linux machines. So yeah, it was quite wide Azure Arc talk. It was very good, very interesting. And then we went to Entra, and Anders went through lots of stuff there. You can talk a little bit yourself about your session, Anders.
Yeah, I'm the one going to tell about how amazing good presentation that was, right?
Yeah, it was a good presentation. Everyone was sitting like hawks.
Yeah, no, we tried to make it demo rich, then of course including all the demo ghosts on how you can use Entra and entitlement management there to automate and go on access to Azure resources, and also how this ties up to decentralizing identity and access management in Azure landing zones, for example.
Oh, I forgot about the demo ghosts.
Oh yeah, I was so annoyed. Luckily, it was just me being too fast, and didn't want to wait until all the backend stuff happened. So if I just had waited 5 minutes in that demo, everything would have gone smoothly. But yeah, it's a lesson learned from doing live stuff on fairly new stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, we got some good discussions there also, and I think there wasn't that many who had dived into that part of Entra, especially in combination with Azure resources. So we had a few good discussions in the call also, well, in the call, but in the presentation, of course. Good, and then your time, Julian, to tell about your amazing presentation.
Yeah, so I was finishing up the meetup with securing your Azure infrastructure top 5 tips. So I went through some, actually it's low-hanging fruits, but people don't think of them like that. So yeah, it was 5 low-hanging fruits of how we can secure infrastructure a little bit better. So yeah, it's a great turn-up actually. So it was a good event. I hope to do it again next year. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add, it was also a great venue. So let's definitely try to host more stuff in Kristiansand. It was a great location to host sessions like the ones we had.
Yeah.
So a lot of kudos to Norway who made it possible for us.
Mm-hmm. That's also in the city, or is it outside?
No, it's in the middle of the city.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It's like 5 minutes walk from the train station, so it's about as local as you can get.
Yeah. And Nora, just to shout that out, Noroff is quite eager to have this kind of meetups and stuff in all their locations, actually. So Oslo location, Bergen location, Trondheim location. It's just we can just send an email to them and get booked time in their rooms and stuff. So it's, yeah, they like this kind of stuff.
Good to know. Good to know. All hasn't have to happen in Oslo at every time, so it's good to spread out.
Yeah.
Perfect. And we also had one event in Sarpsborg, which I was hosting. Also a very good location for the event, for the rooms, and we also had pizza there, so it was warm and good. Very traditional. Before we started, and then we just kicked off with some good presentations. We had a little challenge with getting the numbers up. I think we ended up with 12 people attending, and I found out one of the reasons was that and people that are from Norway might be familiar with the rivalry between Sarpsborg and Fredrikstad. So there's a community in Fredrikstad which started up not a long time ago, called Fredrikstad Tech Community. It's actually a great community, and they attract a lot of people. Then they had a meetup the same afternoon with the 70 attendees and people on the wait list. And if you have one choice to take a guess on what their topic was, what would that be?
Azure.
AI.
AI, yeah, AI. It was AI. So we had big competition, and a lot of people I talked to, they said that they are going there. So we were a little bit unfortunate with that, but we will try again another time. So I think we will probably try get to attract a little bit more people next time. So, but we were pretty happy with the event. We had a presentation on building domain-centric microservices in Azure with a new speaker. He has never held this kind of session before, so but it's quite effective and nice presentation, and so some customer practical implementations as well. And then we had a presentation by Jan Tore Pedersen, which also is an MEP in Cloud and Data Center Management. He talked about Azure Stack HCI, and the hybrid opportunities with Azure. So also a very effective and good presentation all around. And I got to finish the evening with the presentation on getting started with Azure Infrastructure as Code with Bicep and Terraform. So that was very quick and very basic, but people that was there, they appreciated the kind of getting started info. Where do you and why and how and so on. So it was I think we managed to create one resource of each type, Bicep and Terraform, in the presentation. We hadn't time for more. So it's more like why do you do infrastructure as code? How do you get started and so on. So yeah. That was Global Azure in Sarpsborg, and that concludes our summary of the 3 events. We're quite happy with how it turned out, lessons learned and so on. And with that, I will just stop the sharing because we don't have any more presentation, but we can just have an open discussion, or I didn't manage to create some polls or something, but we might do that on the Meetup page or something later. But what are we thinking for 2024? And people that are on the meeting outside the organizers, if you want to say something, please raise your hand or put a comment in the chat. For example, should we do Thursday evenings? Should we do Friday with a more social event after? Should we do a workshop day on Saturday, a combination? What do you guys think for next year? The ideas are flowing.
Everyone is heading to lunch.
Yeah.
But I think Thursdays works good, or probably best in Norway. Not many like if you have a Friday or Saturday, there's always someone going to the cabin, or there's a soccer cup for one of your son or your daughter, and then it's yeah. To me, I don't think Saturday would or Friday would work. Friday maybe, but then Friday not in the afternoon, but midday probably.
Yeah, or in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a half-day event.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Weekends is more or less holy, right? So to be able to attract the seniors with established families and stuff like that, I think midweek is definitely best.
Yeah. Well, that was our thoughts anyway before we set up these meetups. We discussed that and found it probably the easiest way to attract most attendees. I think it's also a good idea to consider using part of the workday, because for some people it might be easier to just step out of the work because it's building knowledge anyway. So it's part of their job anyways, and can make it a little bit easier without having to set an evening aside from your family from time to time. I actually heard from some people, because this was just the last the end of the week, and the week after was 17th of May in Norway, the big national holiday. So people said to me that, well, I don't really have time to come because I have so much to do on the house and moving lawn mover or something. So people do have to have something to do the weeks before us as well. So probably in the work time, at least one event, for example, in work hours could be nice with a couple of sessions or a workshop or something. Yes, David.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly reflect, because it was my first time since I was sort of joining forces with you, and the experience was great. I really loved that we had a lot of dialogue on preparing, making sure that we have everything sorted out and ready. You know, some last minute issues quickly solved. So I would be really happy to do that next year. The only sort of feedback or like a wish that I would like to share is that I know that on the a global scale, the ambition would be probably too big, but in the a Norwegian sort of level, I would love to see some of the sessions from the other cities. So is there a way how we could organize a session recording in those locations and then share it internally in as user group Norway? So it doesn't really need to spread to the internet, or maybe it can with the approval from the speakers. But there is a lot of great content you naturally cannot see if you are in one city and then someone else is speaking in other places. So that could be more like an idea for the next year that we could explore.
I think the Global Azure setup is facilitating online streams for each and every session. We didn't think much about it, but there was no opportunity to add in streams for each of the sessions at least. So, but then we need to have some technical facilities to
be managed.
Yeah. We will have to look into that and discuss it further. We do have a YouTube channel for Azure User Group Norway, so it's one option to do a live presentation there with YouTube Live, and that will automatically make it available as a recording later. So that's an option we could look into, and of course we have the Teams possibilities. So there are several options with that. So certainly be part of planning for next year. So and if it's not really clear for all the attendees here, so anyone that does a community can actually connect and organize Global Azure events. And what we wanted to do this year was to help doing that by using Azure User Group Norway. You don't have to go through Azure User Group Norway. You can set up all that stuff yourself. But what we can provide with Azure User Group Norway is the Meetup. We have a Meetup account, so we can help you sending out invitations. We have over 2,200 members in our Meetup group now, so that's an amazing number. And we have a Sessionize call for papers, so we can set up and help facilitate. And we also did have some planning meetings together. So if you are a community in Norway that wants to be part of this next year, you could either go that way, that road yourself. That's perfectly all right. Or you can just connect with us and be part of that that group of organizers like we have been this year. So I think that's important to say and share. So yeah. I don't see any other questions or raised hands for other attendees here. So should we go and have
some lunch?
Yeah. Do you like my background? It's actually downloaded from the Global Azure.net page. It's available there. Yeah.
Really cool.
I think it was fitting today. So yeah.
Digital swag.
Yeah.
I think what Magnus said about sponsors and bringing swags and gifts and stuff for next year, it also would be a great thing to look into. Our sponsors this year helped us with locations and food and beverages, but it could be also a lot of other stuff. We also had the Azure sponsorship. But I think I misunderstood that in the beginning because I think it was one for each attendee that wanted, but it was actually one of three. You had to be the first to get it.
Yeah, I actually got the codes 1 hour after after the meeting was done. So yeah,
it's not our fault that you didn't apply for it earlier.
No, we was late about that. So
yeah.
Lessons learned. Well, I think if not anyone else has any comments or questions, I think that's good for now. See you guys for June 13th then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are
Absolutely.
that then. Yeah, perfect.
Have a great day.
Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.